Hey guys, it is the weekend, and what better way to celebrate than have a little treat and have a takeaway or make your own fakeaway. And this is my fakeaway for your takeaway, all thanks to our fantastic supporters on Patreon. If you didn't know already, we've got our own Patreon channel and you can find exclusive videos, you can get involved with competitions and win monthly prizes from our School of Wok Patreon channel. We've got some great supporters on there already. We're gonna have a look at one of our supporters who suggested this video. A quick message from Dave Sayers this week, who was a big fan of the beef fried rice, but he is asking for us to carry on the vegan or vegetarian flavour with Wagamama's Bang Bang cauliflower. Now, I do believe there is a Wagamama recipe out there already. My certain take on these sorts of dishes is that out in the restaurants, they may be a little bit too sweet for my liking, so I'm going to tweak the recipe and change it slightly, but it'll still have that firecracker flavour. Here's my take on Wagamama's Bang Bang cauliflower. First things first, start with the cauliflower. Now, we've used a bit of cauliflower for another video, but there's plenty here for this one too. You just want to get nice sort of chunks of cauliflower out. We use the florets, but also the main bulk of that stalk as well. You don't have to blanch this, but I'm going to blanch it for a couple of minutes first. And what that does, it just sort of speeds up the stir frying process. And it allows the cauliflower time to char, but not overcook. Give that a quick wash, and then blanch that for about 2 minutes. So I've got my hot water, a quick blanch. I'm also going to use some vegetable stock for my sauce. And if you want to add a bit more flavour to the cauliflower itself, you can use some veggie stock in here too. Bring that to a boil a couple of minutes and then take that out, back into the cold water, ready for stir frying. And then it's really as simple as slicing a bit of onion and a few sort of base ingredients, making up a sauce. Really easy cooking. Finally slice some onion. Got some spring onion, just chopped through. A little bit of ginger. I'm not going to bash this ginger, I'm going to keep it in nice fine matchsticks. Kind of want to just sear it very lightly before adding the cauliflower. Really nice fine strands. And then I'm actually going to use some coriander stalks as well. Just take those dry ends off. This will add a lot of flavour to the base. Just make it feel a lot more sort of natural and light as well. I'm going to use my board as my wok clock today, why not? And then got some chili flakes that I'll fry through with my wok clock of ingredients, and then all I've got to do is make up my sauce. That's coming to a boil now, so I've got another minute on that. So let's make up the sauce quickly. You can see how quick and easy this dish is. I've got a couple of tablespoons of sweet chili sauce, and as I say, my recipe is definitely less sweet than the classic Wagamama recipe, but I'm sticking with the firecracker and putting a good lot of chili. So we've got some sriracha chili in that base sauce, and then really we're kind of making up a little either yakitori sauce here, or very similar to a teriyaki. That's a couple of spoons of light soy, a couple of spoons of mirin. I'm going on the less sweet side, as I say. You could use honey for this, but I'm going to keep this vegan, so I'm going for a tablespoon of brown sugar, and then for some savoury, a tablespoon of vegetarian stir-fry sauce. That will be quite sticky in texture with all that sort of sweet chili and the brown sugar in there. And you can see the sort of stickiness of that. So we'll let that hit the wok before I add any vegetable stock to the wok when I'm cooking or finally sort of finishing off the dish. This cauliflower has had its couple of minutes. Just dunk that back in the cold water so it stops cooking. And it would have taken in some flavour from that vegetable stock. And you can tell that it's cooked right if your stalk of cauliflower has just got a bit more sort of white in the middle there. It's sort of just over half cooked through. Now we know this is going to be really fresh just from looking at all these lovely ingredients here. So high heat, wok cooking, all the way, really very simple from here. Follow those rules, those techniques that I always teach. When you're adding any ingredient, make sure your wok is nice and smoking hot. But remember, these are all really finely sliced, so my red onion's going to go in first. And I don't want to overcook that red onion, so the spring onion can go in with it. Give it a couple of tosses through. And the ideal thing, and this is my quick QVC moment here. One of the big questions a lot of people ask is what I always use this wok. It's a 13-inch carbon steel wok, which we like to call the wok and roll wok, because it's proper wok starish. It's carbon steel, thin metal for good reason, so you can circulate heat. Circulation heat is really important in Chinese cooking because you want to understand the wok hei is high to the fire, moving the air around. And that is why I love our 13-inch carbon steel wok. Cha-ching! Right, so, anyway, back to normal. We've got my ginger in, my coriander stalks in, and I'm just sort of flash frying that. How's my sales pitch?
Someone gave you amphetamine.
You want? Well, got to make it fun. Right, and then we've got all those spices in, all my flavours coming in. I've got my chili flakes that I'm going to put in, and that will smoke up this wok a little. It is firecracker, so I've gone for a fair amount of chili flakes there, but I do want to cook them through before I add any sauce. My cauliflower now can come in to the wok. I don't mind a little bit of that liquid, and flick that around and really get those chili flakes cooked through but not burnt. And that thin metal, as I said in my sales pitch, is really good because it changes heat very quickly, which is why I'm sort of tossing this through. Because it was so hot and smoking hot, we had that initial sear, but I didn't want my chili flakes to burn, which is why flicking it around changes and brings the heat down on that thin metal carbon steel wok so quickly. I'm going to add a small amount of oil around the edge of the wok, just so that the cauliflower sears a little and sort of gets, not a charring, but a slight colour around some of the stalks of the cauliflower. And then my sauce will come in, but I want it to, much like a lot of my wok cooking, I want it to bubble up immediately around the cauliflower and start to caramelise around the florets as quickly as possible. So I want to build up that heat, wait, and this sort of minute or so of patience is actually really important. It will make a difference to the finish of your dish. I'm going to pour this round so Chris can see it. Don't waste any of that sweet and savoury chili sauce. Flick that through. Oh, look at the colour on that. Looking lovely. Bring that to a really vigorous boil. Allow it to start to caramelise around the cauliflower before you add any stock to this. The stock is not 100% essential, but I quite like to just mellow out that sweetness and get a nice balance of sweet, savoury, spicy. And I'm just going underneath the cauliflower here now so that I don't break up the florets. Really easy vegan cooking. But we're not lacking flavour here, which is what I love about this dish. You don't need a lot of stock at all, just a little bit of stock now on a high heat. Just pour that round the edge. Bring that to a boil. And that is pretty much there. You can smell that sriracha and sweet chilli. Look at the colours on this. I've made mine quite nice and saucy. So if you are having it with some steamed rice or anything like that, you can douse the rice in that sauce. As I said, my version of Wagamama's Bang Bang cauliflower. I really love the look of this dish, especially this sauce colour from all that sriracha. Oh, that's got some heat from that firecracker sauce. But as I said, not too sweet. You could even get away with, I think, half a tablespoon of brown sugar if you want it even less sweet and that little bit more healthy. Guys, recreations of different dishes, whether it's from restaurants, takeaways, whatever it may be. If you like this type of food, you want to learn more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our School of What Patreon. And thanks again to Dave Sayers for suggesting this dish on Patreon.